I want to share with you something I think will be helpful. Most people they want to go from 0 to 60, and if they can't do that, then they don't do anything. You know, you'll hear a message like what I'm preaching tonight, and you'll go, well, I need to pray an hour, I need to pray 2 hours, or I need to be more careful in the night watch when I can't sleep and get up and seek the Lord, and all these things. But it may be beyond you right now. Maybe you don't pray that much, except over your dinner or a few other things. Then I don't expect you to go out tonight and keep a night watch until early morning or daybreak. But one thing that I have learned, because it is my personality also, either to do it all the way or don't do it at all, slip away. Slip away. Maybe 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. You're coming between classes. You've got 10 minutes to spare. Slip away. You're working in the office and there's a little bit of downtime. Slip away. Meals being prepared at home and you got home 10 minutes too early. There's still time. Slip away. Slip away. Learn that communication with the Lord is ongoing. When a client walks into your office and he's headed for your door, you can see the shadow of him on the other side of the glass. Slip away, even if it's 15 seconds, Lord. You know, you're wise. Slip away. Slip away. Spend time with Him. Slip away. Take those little moments that are lost. You know, it says that some people, they do not order their day at all. Other people who are a bit more successful will divide their work hours in two, morning and after lunch. People who are really on the ball will divide their time in 1 hour segments. And then we find this out. The top executives in the world, they divide their hour in 5-minute intervals. So if they finish a meeting in 55 minutes that's scheduled for an hour, they've got something else to do those 5 minutes. And by the end of the day, they've recuperated 3 hours or more that most people have just lost. Slip away. Make a note. Say, you know, I waste this time anyway, so what I'm going to do when I have this time, I'm either going to meditate on Scripture with being conscious of the Lord while I'm meditating on the Scriptures, or I'm going to pray to Him. I'm just going to slip away. You'd be surprised how much that will add up in your life.
Pray at all times. What does that mean? Just exactly what it says. There doesn't need to be an explanation of that. Jesus said in Luke 21:36, watch and pray always. The early apostles said in Acts 6:4, we will give ourselves continually to prayer. It was said about Cornelius in Acts chapter 10 that he prayed to God always. Paul in Romans 12:12 says, continue diligently in prayer. In Colossians 4:2, continue in prayer. Philippians 4:6, be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. Let your requests be made known to God. And famous 1 Thessalonians 5:17, pray without what? Ceasing. Pray without ceasing. Paul did that. 2 Timothy 1:3, without ceasing, he says, I have remembrance of you in my prayers night and day. The idea here is constancy. Now, this stretches us beyond just some recited prayer. This cannot mean some focused, isolated prayer experience. We're talking about a life pattern. We're talking about a consciousness of God's presence at all times that leaves my heart open fully to Him. That's what this is all about. To be so God-conscious that you see and experience everything with reference to Him. You see all events in life as related to God. If you see something good, What is your immediate response to what is good? It is to offer God thanks and praise and adoration. You see evil. You see sin. What is your response? You ask Him to make it right. You confess it. You pray for the sinner. You grieve that God is dishonored, that His name is reproached. You ask God to vindicate Himself and to bring righteousness where there is only iniquity. You see trouble. You see people in distress. What is your initial response? To go to God and ask that God will somehow be honored in the distress and bring a deliverance that can glorify His name. It's simply living your life in that kind of dominant God consciousness so that God is the filter through which every experience passes. David said that, I have set the Lord always before me. I have set the Lord always before me. Everything in life is filtered through that God-enhanced vision. There's no waking moment, then, that prayer cannot rise. It isn't a time that you wait for. It's a life that you live. It's a God-conscious life. It's not just finding a list of requests and going over it, although that's part of it. It's not just having a prescribed prayer time, although that's certainly part of it, private place. It's much more than that. It's that every single thing in your life is something to talk to God about. Everything. Everything.
My pastoral plea, and this is my prayer for this message, is that we would be a praying people like this all through the day. Convey your heart to God over and over. Let it be the way you begin and end everything. Now this requires a huge spiritual consciousness, which is what we're praying toward. Every email begins and ends with prayer. Every TV show, very important. You start praying when you watch it, you end praying when you watch it, you may never watch it again. Every car ride, start prayer, end prayer. Had a missionary friend worked in Afghanistan, said if you didn't do this, you had a wreck every time. Not quite that bad in America, but it's a good idea. Every phone call, start with prayer, end with prayer. I'm talking 5-second prayers here. God help me. I want to be an honor to you on this phone call. It's going to be tough. Bang, that's all. You start it, you end it with prayer. Every conversation starts with prayer, ends with prayer. Every shower starts with prayer, ends with prayer. Every night's rest starts with prayer, ends with prayer. Every meal starts with prayer, ends with prayer. Sometimes out loud, doesn't matter. Everything you read starts with prayer, ends with prayer. Get on my running machine in the morning 3 times a week. Put on some preacher from the internet. Pray, God, guard me from error. Teach me the truth. Correct me. Shape me. Mold me. Boom. I'm into running and listening. But not without Him. Nothing's automatic here. Be in communion with God continually. My wife, Noelle, there she is, complains to me that when I call her on my cell phone, I don't hang up. And so I put it back in my pocket with the phone on. And she's listening to all these things that are happening. And I think I discovered why, Noelle. You can turn it off at the top here, but when you turn the machine off, the phone stays on. I didn't realize that until just yesterday. So I'll try not to make that mistake. So I'm totally in agreement that I shouldn't leave my phone on and make my wife listen to me for the rest of what I'm doing. However, God likes it when you leave your phone on. Not a criticism of Noelle. You ought to turn your phone off when you're calling your wife. But when you're calling God, just don't ever push the red button. Just leave it on green all the time. He listens to everything. That's okay. Everything becomes prayer. That would be the way to live. Pray without ceasing means leave the green button pushed all the time. Have one of these phones you can turn it off, it stays on. Isn't that cool? I wish my life were more like that.
Now, apart from these 3 practical ways or these 3 practical steps I've just shared with you that I try to apply to pray without ceasing throughout the whole day, I also have something I personally use, which is this index card and the ID card. What I do is I write the scriptures in it, and then throughout the day when I have chance or wherever I am that I'm free or I'm not actually so busy with my mind, I bring out the index card and the ID tag, the scriptures I write in it, and then I turn it into prayer. I turn the scriptures into prayer unto God. Currently I'm working on Galatians chapter 1, memorizing it. So I might just take any of the verses in Galatians chapter 1 and turn it into prayer unto God. That's another way that I personally also try to pray throughout the day without ceasing. And I would like to hear from you guys in the comment section below. How do you pray without ceasing? How do you pray without giving up throughout the day? How do you pray throughout your entire day? Please share your ideas with me in the comment section below. Thank you and God bless you.